everybody, it's Annette from The Art of Intuition, and today we are going to talk about the difference between self-mastery and control. One is a very human, one is coming from our ego aspect and one is coming from our higher aspect. So what is self-mastery? Self-mastery is having mastery of yourself from the inside. It's not having mastery of the outside world. Okay. So a lot of times we think about self-mastery, we think about being very good at outside stuff. I've mastered that. I've mastered that hobby. I've mastered my job. I've mastered that. Self-mastery is mastering yourself. And, it is going inside when something is not right. It's, that just bothered me. I just got triggered. I say a lot of people, they'll talk about being triggered and how harsh that can feel, and when you constantly feel like you're being triggered. And there's a lot of this process where we constantly feel like we're being triggered. It's like all the time. It's like one thing right after the other. And there's reasons for that. There's one, how many times can you get triggered before you learn to be able to master yourself? What's going on with me? Why did that bother me? It's not about the trigger. It's about how we reacted to it. Why did that bother me? Why did that trigger me at all? You have to go inside and start pulling that apart. The human DNA is a twisted DNA. You have to start unraveling your DNA in a sense, pulling it apart and go, why did that bother me? Why did I get mad there? Why am I angry? And I'll always say, when you're angry, when I'm angry at myself. I've allowed realities to get out of focus. I've allowed realities to get out of control. I've allowed realities to not be aligned. I've given my power away to another person. That's why all of a sudden I look at our reality and go, wow, this shit is way out of control. This shit is way not in focus anymore. What's going on here? Because I've allowed that. But self-mastery is be able to see that in yourself, being able to stop yourself before you react to a trigger and go, hold on, I got to go take care. I got to go deal with myself. I'll be back. I'm going to go away for a minute, go in the bathroom and whatever, just get away from it and figure out what it was. What's the program that hit? Where do I hold that inside? If it triggers us, then it's something we hold inside. There's a lot of people that want to and I did the same thing. So, I say it from love because I did the same thing, but want to say, oh, that's somebody else's stuff. Oh, that's not mine, that's theirs. Everyone wants to point the finger. But that's not really a kind thing to do, to point the finger, oh, you're really screwed up. Oh, you're so screwed up. But we were all screwed up, Can you love that person even though they're in their screwed up phase, or they're creating realities that are karmic and screwed up? Because we did the same thing. Even through ascension for a while, we're still creating karmic realities because we still haven't figured out what that means yet. To create one, it's not just having malintent. People think a karmic reality is, oh, I had malintent when I did it. It's not about intent. It's the energy of what you're doing. If anything's self-serving, that's karmic, technically. Your thoughts. It's not just has to be one drastic, what a human would look at and go, that was a, air quote, terrible thing you just did. It's not about that. It's the energy of which we do it from. It's what does it serve? It goes beyond. It's every thought we ever had. It's not just in this dimension either. It's anytime we created karma in any dimension. So when you start having to clear that stuff, it's not just this life. You're looking at every life you're leading, every multidimensional aspect of you, and everything you've ever done. That's why we always have to look about, what am I judging here? When you look out in humanity now and say, what am I judging? I've been everything. You have been everything. You have done it all repeatedly, over and over and over again. We've all done it all. We've all done it repeatedly. So what are we judging someone else for? What did they do? What did they do that I'm going to look at and go, wow, that's pretty messed up. I'm sure I've done that exact same thing 100 times over. And in this reality, you're just playing out that role. You're playing out that serial killer role where I'm sure I played that out somewhere else. It seems kind of, I usually will go to the extreme to explain that, but it's got to get the point. We've done it all. We've been it all. So when we're starting to really start to clear a lot of time, we're in our heavy duty clearing where it seems like freaking everything bothers us. It's like, I don't like anything about anything. I don't like you because you got blonde hair, and that bothers me for some reason right now. Because when we're in that phase and we're clearing, it's like freaking everything is getting to us. But it is an important part of the phase, and there's nothing wrong with you when you feel that way. But it's important to be able to look at that and go, okay, but why do I feel that way? You know, what is going on with me? What's that program? Why I need to get away and deal with me. Self-mastery is dealing with ourselves. Don't worry about everybody else. If you're trying to be in complete self-mastery of every thought, everything you do all day long and always come from your highest, and when you're clearing, get away and deal with yourself, you don't have a minute to think about what anybody else is doing. You couldn't care less because you don't have the bandwidth to worry about everybody else. Humans worry about everybody else. Humans want to judge what everybody's doing because it's kind of like that old thing, look over here, don't look over here. You know, don't worry about what's going on over here, just look over here. It's a distraction tactic. Your ego is going to use it. I just did a video on distraction of the ego, what the ego will do to kind of keep in control. And that's a big one. Distracting you with stupid shit. Someone else's life that, you know, a lot of times we get distracted by people's lives that people don't even want us in. You know, they don't even want us in their life. They're not actually in our life. They haven't invited us in theirs, but we're still distracted by what they're doing. Now that's a big distortion when we look at that. Why do we care? You know, why do I care what someone else is doing if they're not in my life? From a place of it's not aligned for them to be here right now. You know, it's not that we don't care, and I kind of say that, and I want to just preference that with, but we love and care about humanity and everyone, but on the day-to-day thing, we're not caring to so much. We're so wrapped up in the outcome of someone else's life. You know, we don't have we might have a preference, and it would be nice if it came out like that, but I don't have a preference. It might have to come out the completely opposite way that I want it to come out, because that's what's highest line for that person. And I have to be okay with that. If I'm not okay with that, then I've got to see, why am I not okay with that? Why do I not like their journey? Their journey is none of my damn business. Honestly, it's not my business. Look at, where do we start to separate off again? Self-mastery is not separating off. If we're separating off and going back into our human, we're going back unconscious, going back asleep, even if it's for 3 or 4 hours, we're not in self-mastery. You know, we might not, now there might still be improvement, so let's not pat ourselves on the back. Self-mastery takes time. It takes decades sometimes. It can take years and years and years and years to be in complete self-mastery of yourself, all through your ascension process. So you might have gone unconscious before for like 2 or 3 months and got wrapped up in shit, and now you might do it for 2 weeks and go, holy shit, I'm out of it again. I pulled out of it again. I'm conscious again. I see what was going on there. Or the next time it happens, you might go back under for like 3 hours and you're like, whoa, I'm not going down this rabbit hole again about what is going on with all these other people or this drama, this whole drama thing. Self-mastery is looking at yourself and being really honest and unpacking what's going on. I see a lot of people that can say, oh yeah, I see it. Well, oh yeah, you see it, but that's great. Seeing it's part of it. The more important part of it is, what are we going to do about it when we see it? How are we going to break that program down? You know, what are we going to do if we've done affirmations and that shit didn't work? Because, you know, we didn't have to leave what we were saying anyway. And what are we going to do? You know, what are we going to do to get ourselves going? You know, what tools are we going to use to get in, I'm going to use the word in control of ourselves, but I'm going to have to pivot that in a minute. To be in mastery of ourselves. When we're trying to control, when we look at the opposite of that, which is control, what are we trying to do? We're trying to not let that happen. You know, we're trying to, usually control is more controlling the outside. Self-mastery is really looking and being honest and mastering yourself inside out, not the outside in. The outside doesn't matter to us in a sense. It's just a reflection of what we hold. And sometimes it can take years for the outside to catch up with us where we are inside. Because we have so much of our DNA that we still have to clear. We have to go through body clearings. Our DNA, on DNA cellular level, we still have an attachment to the reality outside. You know, we still have a part of us that is not 100% clean of that. So that's why that still exists in our outside world. You know, it can take a long time for our outside world to match up. Where are we trying to control an outside outcome? And when we talk about even trying to control ourselves, we're not feeling it all. You know, we don't control ourselves. In ascension, we master ourselves. We don't control. I don't want to feel that. I don't want to go and do that reality because I know my shit's gonna come up if I have to go deal with that. I don't want to go live in that house because I don't like that outcome. You know, I don't like that choice. You know, that's not the choice I want to do. I want this. I don't want that. I'm trying to control it from a human perspective of what is acceptable. huge thing that I would do if it wasn't my, but that's all we know in the beginning is what our human thought was acceptable. What our human said that was okay. Wait, that's not okay, but that's okay because that has a human connotation of okay. That's air quote, oh, that's good. That's not good. We try to equate it to a human standard. So we try to control outcomes, even if they're not the highest outcome we can get and they're not soul aligned outcomes. So in the end, that's not even the outcome we're going to want, and that's going to crash anyway because we're trying to manipulate it. Manipulation and control are the same thing. We want to sort of, and control is always based in fear. We fear that outcome. We're going to try to control it so we don't have to feel that fear. You have to feel that fear to clear that fear. If something comes up and you feel fear, go deal with the fear. If you know you're afraid of something, go deal with that. Sometimes when I would feel really afraid of something, I would just walk myself through it and say, okay, that happens. If you have a fear of death, I'm going to walk through me dying. Let me walk through that. If I have a fear of, I don't know, makeup, insert whatever it is for you. Let me walk through. If that happens, okay. If the worst happens, what I'm going to deem as the human the worst, okay, what happens after that? From someone who has been through what my human would have deemed was the worst, the very worst, I will tell you, nothing happens. That's kind of the secret of the whole thing. Nothing happens. It all turns out fine. It'll all turn out. We just have so much fear around, oh God, I can't do that. I can't pull out of all my human realities. There's too much judgment, but that's our judgment. And that goes back into self-mastery. Where are we not looking inside? Where do we try to control our feelings? We have to feel it all. The good, the bad, we don't have to judge any of it. We have to feel it all. We have to let it all come up. When we're trying to control, that's a human go-to. If something triggers us, okay. We don't have to scream or yell at anybody. We can go stomp our feet outside by ourselves. Get pissed off in the mirror. Why did I get triggered? Or why do I care? What do I got going on? It always has to come down to us. It's not about anybody else. They're just trying to show you what you hold inside. That's all people are doing. Everyone in my life is showing me parts of me. That's it. That's all they're doing. There's no secret sauce there. That's what they're doing. That's why they're here. They're here to show us us. They're not here for any other reason. Our human wants to believe they're here for 100 different reasons. They're not. Technically there's a bazillion reasons everybody's here, but they're not human reasons. How many reasons can you see that aren't the human reasons? Self-mastery is a skill in itself. And it's not something that happens overnight. And it is a stepping stones. But you'll start to feel the difference between being in control and being in mastery. And even if you weigh the words, mastery, there's such a vibration of that word, whereas control is very constricting. Look how your body feels when you say mastery. Look how your body feels when you say control. Look how your body feels, when you're trying to control something. Look how your body tightens up because you don't. Why are you trying to control it at all? What's the fear? What's the outcome of what's about that outcome you don't like? We have to continue to go deeper and look within. Mastering the inside. That is crucial when we're in our ascension. Even when we say when we're done with full body ascension, we're still mastering ourselves. There's still other things to clear. We're always going to be clearing. You might have gone through oversoul consciousness and gone beyond ascension. Doesn't matter where you are. Can we be in complete self-mastery all the time and come from our highest place all the time? Not from our lower aspects, not going small anymore, not going back and looking at the judgment that we had about doing that, or going back and judging something we did 20 years ago because we didn't know any better, and not knowing any better from a human perspective, knowing any better from a soul perspective that, wow, that was definitely not soul aligned what I did there. And look at all the things that cascaded after that. Look at how that kind of completely blew up on me because of that one thing. And that might not have been the one thing your human would have seen that caused that whole reality to go sideways. But your soul can see it. Your soul can go back and show you. You see when you did that, that's when that whole thing went to shit. It wasn't this other thing. You thought it was because you picked, one college over the other, and that's when, no, it wasn't that. It was when you did that one thing right there. You know, it was when you sat on the right side of the car and not the left side of the car because of some judgment you had about the other side of the car. It'll be something so minute and so, which would seem so non-linear. You're going to be mind blown. You're going to be sitting there like, holy shit, if I just noticed I had all the judgment around sitting next to that person or talking to that person or being open with that person, this whole thing could have been avoided. But because I wasn't, and I didn't want to look at that, I was in avoidance, this whole reality went sideways with a quickness. So self-mastery is, I know I've said it like 8 times in this video, but I'm going to say it one more time before I end. It is a skill that we can't be afraid to master ourselves. And we can't fear going inside and looking at it because there's a lot there, a lot we got to unpack. Okay. Keep practicing the art of intuition.